Coming to you live from the LoadingReadyRun underground orbiting moon base, this is the LRRcast. This is, in fact, the LRRcast with a bunch of people here that, wow.
Don't normally get on this.
Yeah,
I know. We've taken over the LRRcast.
Yes. So, I am Ian Horner. You may know me from this and another LRRcast I did at one point. This is Coriander Dickinson.
Hello. I show up at Desert Bus a lot, and I've been in a few sketches now that Ian and I have moved down.
Just to make that perfectly clear. You're down here now.
Yeah.
To her right is Heather Deering.
I pop up now and then. I take over Beej's stream sometimes, but I mostly just pop up now and then.
And joining us today on the far right is Brendan Deary as Beej.
I'm glad there's so much room at the table for that we can get the four mics in like this. That you decided to include me, so I appreciate that.
And we're rounding out the party here and discussing our favorite things of 2014.
Right. Did we decide what category we're starting with? We'll start with the lure stuff?
Yeah, I think we should.
Get the lure stuff out of the way so we can get to the other things.
That sounds wonderful. All right. Okay, fine. My favorite sketch we've done this year was Krog's List. Not because I was in it, but that has been a lot of fun. But because I really liked how tight all the writing was, and the fact that we've managed to get some really good crap shots out of it.
Ace.
Cool. I went with the Gatekeeper because he is my favorite character of all time, and I hope he comes back someday. Because as far as I'm concerned, he's the most relatable character to anybody in the planet. I could show that video to anybody and they would understand.
Actually, you did that, didn't you? You showed that to people and they were like, oh yeah, I get this.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My pick was also Krog's List because Beej was in it.
Oh. That's so sweet.
It's the only one he shows up in, right? It's really weird.
I know, right?
All year.
Just every time. No, but because of the multitude of crap shots that have spawned from it, and just how much fun in general it is.
And it's a good, it's kind of a good little universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I chose the Rumble too because I have a memory like a goldfish, and
it's a pretty strong one.
it influenced what happened on my Christmas too. So
Oh. Actually, yeah, it's a good point.
yeah, we Graham and I were up early morning, Christmas morning, to get shots of the city when it was devoid of people.
Oh, so that's how you got all these desolate looking, where there's like no cars on the road. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Cool. Any other favorite lure things this year?
Well, we all have a favorite crap shot or two, I believe.
Oh, I'm sure we do.
Do you remember any of them?
Actually, my favorite one and we just squeaked it in under the wire.
Yeah.
Is the outlet? Is the socket?
socket.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's actually mine too. It came out way better than I was expecting. Ability.
Yeah, and Graham had told us that there's a specific wire work plugin. Like there's a method you can get in I don't know if it's After Effects or what it is, but in like the editing, so you can to take all that stuff out, which apparently was a pain in the ass, but the overall effect was fantastic.
Oh, it ended up looking super good.
Yeah, I thought it was going to look completely just hokey and awful.
On camera, it was just janky as.
Yeah.
We should point out that was not a live outlet, though, that you actually went in and
Yeah, actually, it's a good point. 'Cause
unwired
we never loading time these things, so because that would be crazy. But we have an outlet downstairs that was just kind of wired up for use. We used to have there's a LoadingReadyRun on-air box, and it was just controlled by a switch. But the thing is that the cable coming out of the box where the switch is was just another end of an extension cord, which was plugged into another outlet somewhere. And that's janky as all hell. And so I went in there and unwired all that, so it was never live to begin with, as long as it was unplugged. We put the plate on and the outlet on and everything else. Of course, that's never been live. And as a added note to that, James wanted to rewire that to turn it into an actual like outlet. And when we were doing the work on that, we realized it's just easier if we didn't wire that up, because it's like nobody uses the switch anymore, nobody uses the outlet anymore, so we just leave it alone.
Now just a prop.
No, it's just a prop.
Yeah.
It's like a prop outlet we can use if we need for some sort of reason. I think I've kind of just blown the wad on that one. Actually, I don't know what else we can get out of that yet.
So we're all agreed on what their favorite crap shot is?
No.
Oh, Ian has a different
I had so many ideas for this.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, I love the faces just because I've always wanted to play a golem.
Oh, yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
That was cool.
The groceries was spectacular. That was the first appearance of Dubstep Beej.
Oh, right. is that what we're calling that character?
Some people call him, what is it? It's Clone Beej.
Okay.
He's been referenced.
Should be like Agent Beej, like the Matrix.
But I don't think you can get by without referencing the best crap shot of the year as the film,
Which was...
which was you and Alex against the green screen.
shit ass. Right. Which is kind of... You were saying earlier, it's like crap shots.
It really encompasses all of what crap shots kind of is.
Yeah. Rad. Any...
So does anyone have a favorite Commodore, Hustle, or Friday Nights?
I like...
You did your research, didn't
Yeah.
you?
Yes, I did. I took notes. I came prepared to this, darn it.
My favorite hustle this year was probably The File, because of all the really more unusual shots we did, like Cam having to make his way through the lasers, and the fact that the Laughatron was becoming mildly sentient. Like all those moments of what else is going on here, and how much we're twisting with the reality a bit. I really enjoyed that. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I actually chose Laughter, which we were talking about earlier, which is the one with the receipt that says 50 whiz bangs on it.
Right.
And while that's cool as a prop, I actually chose it because watching you and Alex run around a hardware store is really enjoyable to do again and again.
Forgot we did that.
I really wish I'd been for the filming of that one because I would have loved to have seen the two of you do that in person.
Oh my god. Favorite hustles?
I don't have a
Didn't-
favorite.
they're
I
all-
love all. They're all so special.
A lot of them are really good, huh?
No,
Yeah.
but I like the just the whole arc through the year. It's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah.
If you have any other lure things, now's the time to say it because we fulfilled our lure obligation parts.
Yes. I mean, if you're listening to this podcast or watching it, you probably have seen all the other stuff
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
and have
Yeah.
your own favorites.
Yeah.
Tell us.
The most recent feed dump I thought was a tour de force.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So that's easy. And then the only other one I can that occurs off the top of my head is the one where where at the end we got to talk about 15 vaginas. Mm-hmm. So anyway,
What was
Imagine.
your, hey, Beej, what was your favorite Tap Tap conceit of the year?
well, that was the one where they broke down the new Khans of Tarkir and we're giving them all nicknames.
Oh.
Yeah.
You didn't listen to it all. You just know about that one happening.
Yes.
I know you. I know what you do.
Well, shall we move on to some of our other favorite things of 2014? I guess more mundane. Shall we start with movies?
I think movies is a good one to start
Cool.
with.
Yeah.
Would you like to start?
I would love to start because I have a list.
Right.
And I know it's, I'm going to tread over some of these, some other people's items, but
I expect
I started with, I mean, it's kind of chronological, but I started with Her, which was the, early in the year, actually. What was his name? Sidney Poitier? No.
Joaquin Phoenix.
Phoenix.
God, I'm gonna love this. Oh, this is you don't know, but this is my favorite game that we play. Is that Ian says the name of an actor and we have to figure out who the hell he actually means.
I'm really
Okay,
bad
so
at guessing this game.
who is the female voice?
Sandra-
Sam.
no.
Sam is the name of the character.
Yes. But it wasn't Sandra Day O'Connor.
God, this is gonna be great.
I know who the actress is.
While he's thinking about that, did you know that the actress who played Sam actually was originally a completely different one, and she had recorded all this great stuff. She had like 90% of her dialogue in the film, and then she got pulled at the last minute because I forget who was directing it, but he had said that while it was good and while he's worked with this actress before and he really likes her doing it, he just wasn't like sold that this was the kind of thing was getting across, and so they brought in the actual actress
Who is
Who
not,
was in other movies we
yeah.
saw this year?
not Emma Watson, not the other young one.
Did you want a hint?
Yes, please.
Okay, she's kind of routinely been voted like the most beautiful woman.
Oh, Scarlett Johansson.
There we go.
There we go.
Got there.
So yeah, they brought her in instead, and he said that he got a completely different performance from her. And while he liked both of them, ultimately it was Scarlett's one he wanted to go with. So
It's a
I'd
shame.
like to have seen it with the other one,
It's a shame that's not something they can just slot in on the DVD.
like separate audio tracks.
Yeah.
That would be super interesting.
Cool.
You have a list.
Yeah, Her was
Other movies?
definitely there. The Lego Movie, obviously.
Oh, that was 2014.
Yes, it was.
Yes.
I told
Wow.
you watched more movies in 2014 than you believed.
All right.
Yeah. The Grand Budapest Hotel. Of course, you've got to get your
Wes Anderson.
You're Wes Anderson
Why
on.
would you help him?
This is going to take a goddamn hour.
I don't know which title to reference this one under. All You Need Is Kill, Live, Die, Repeat, or The Edge of Tomorrow. It was probably the best science fiction of the year. Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yep.
And then my two esoteric ones, Jodorowsky's Dune, which was just an incredible exploration of a movie that never got made and yet influenced everything in Hollywood forever.
Yep.
And The Wind Rises, which was Hayao Miyazaki's last
I haven't seen that yet.
feature film.
Just for all them mouth noises.
Yeah. Well,
What?
for
All of the Foley is mouth noises.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So all of the explosions of the war.
it's
and-
just people making mouth noises.
planes are just
Wow.
Yeah.
I have to see this.
and
This
yet
sounds
it's
fantastic.
extremely moving. You will not laugh once.
Well, that's what I understand
What?
because it's about the guy who created the 0. Yeah.
Yeah,
And he kind of was upset that his life work was essentially his greatest achievement is essentially to destroy other people.
exactly, which is why I find it rather interesting that Miyazaki chose to cast Hideaki Anno as the voice actor
Oh, really?
for Jiro.
Wow, that's
Hideaki Anno,
good match.
for those who don't know, the director of Evangelion, who's routinely said that you've ruined my greatest work.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Ian. Is it just American actors that you can never remember the names of, or do you have this problem with Japanese ones as
He
well?
has that problem with Japanese actors.
It happens. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and that's my list of movies from 2014 that I enjoyed.
Do you have any left, Corey?
Oh, movies that he didn't mention. Captain America. He didn't mention.
2?
Yep.
Yep. Winter Soldier.
I like that movie because, as far as I'm concerned, it's part of Community.
Yes.
Yep.
No, that everything else is covered.
Hooray!
All right. The only one I have he didn't reference was Into the Woods, which we saw on Christmas Day.
Yep.
And the only reason it makes my list is because of the Agony song. Like, I really liked the way that was directed and planned out.
I didn't know that movie was actually a musical that previously existed going into it.
Oh, really?
So it was,
You not a fan of musicals?
I'm pretty much a big fan of musicals, but I didn't know that one and had never heard of it. Had never heard any of the songs, and I thought it was a wonderful original property.
Yeah. There was a lot of there's a lot of consternation about that movie because people were like, "Oh no, this beloved 30-year-old or longer Stephen Sondheim musical," and I think they did a great job. I've seen the stage production before, and I thought they did a great job adapting it. Especially because last time I saw a stage production was when I was 14, so it's been years. I don't remember
so
most of
the
what happened.
last
in
one
it,
you
but-
saw was that one.
God, that was 21 years ago.
You're old.
21 years ago.
Yes, things happen, things come back.
Yeah. All
We've
right.
exhausted movies apparently.
Because I don't think there's anything
I don't
left.
think Beej can even think of any that actually happened beyond the ones we just reminded him about.
Big Hero 6.
We
Did
didn't
you
watch
see that
No,
movie?
I did not.
So you can't. No, that's,
Greatest movies of 2014 I've been waiting to see. Big Hero 6 and 12
Yep.
Years a Slave.
Oh,
Oh, what?
I haven't seen either of those yet.
Well, one of them's about a-
wasn't it?
No, I thought it was this year.
one of them is
I'm
about a
Googling
big
this.
white guy.
One best picture.
Yeah.
Which year?
This year.
This year,
It won
okay.
Best Picture this year.
Last year.
yeah.
Yeah.
Beej doesn't count even. Your list is wrong.
Yarp.
Sorry.
All right, who wants to go on to video games?
All right.
This
Corey.
one's easy.
Mountain. Just straight mountain.
Really?
I
Yeah.
have to play
I
that.
haven't played it yet.
You haven't played it yet?
No.
So it just gives you some questions at the beginning. You draw your answers, and then it uses that as a seed to create your mountain. You can zoom in and out and turn the mountain. And you can press the keyboard to play music. And if you play with some sort of rhythm, it'll advance time a little faster.
Oh.
So big cheats. But mostly it just sits there and you watch. And sometimes the mountain has thoughts. And the weather changes. And then sometimes a cake grows on your mountain.
Neat.
Sounds
Or a
peaceful.
rubber duck or other things.
See, because I saw that that was mentioned at
Bakkun's list?
Bakkun's list. He named it as like his #1 favorite of the year, and I've heard people rave about this. I'm just kind of like I thought people like really enjoyed it, but I didn't think it would be like, oh yeah, this is like #1. But I
Yeah,
can
it's adorable for what it is.
yeah, it's definitely not a toy. It's a game.
It's not a game.
Well, I mean, You can interact with it and you can have it do stuff, but it's mostly self-generates its own.
Yeah, it's all procedurally generated
We're
stuff.
not going to have that
No,
conversation.
I don't want to
right
have
No.
that conversation here, but yeah. Cool. All right.
No, but yeah, it's more like an experience thing.
Neat.
For iOS and
Everything. I think it's on
okay.
everything.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's on pretty much everything.
So when
now.
you said keyboard, I was like, oh dear, it's probably for
Well,
like Steam or something.
It is on
and-
Steam, I believe.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I'm
Or
pretty
you
sure
can
it's
buy
on
it
iOS
through
now.
the creator's website.
Cool. I'll have to consider that.
do we have show notes?
Sure.
Okay,
can make them
it'll,
up.
it'll all be in the show notes.
Yeah. Or show notes is google.ca.
That works.
Yeah, if you type some words in there that you're looking for, they help you find them.
All right.
Good for you.
Who else has a favorite video game of the year?
I'll let you guys go first.
After
Beej?
you?
I'll steal yours, so you go.
Really? I don't think you will.
Well, then what's the matter if you go first?
All right, I'll go first. My favorite this year, because I haven't played a lot of games that are brand new this year.
That's exactly why I'm letting you go first.
Exactly. I'm going to have to go with Shadowrun Returns Dragonfall Director's Cut. What I've been playing right now on...
More than Hyrule Warriors?
That's the thing, right? Like
Really?
because I really like the Shadowrun universe, and I really like that's for me. That's very much Shadowrun from Super Nintendo. That whole thing that was very formative in terms of like here's a game, here's an RPG you can play, but it's also like an open action RPG, which I love. Like just basically straight action RPGs, like the adventure style game, right? And I love that whole kind of gritty feeling, and that you have the options of how you want to do it. Do you want to be a decker? Do you want to be this? And I've never played it as a tabletop.
I was just going to ask you, your only experience with these games and this universe is in the video games.
Yeah, it has only been through the video games. I've never played the tabletop version. I'm not even sure I really want to, because I feel like that's way too open-ended. But I played Dead Man's Switch on my iPad and really enjoyed that. That was the first one that came with the Shadowrun Returns campaign, when I guess the first thing they delivered from the Kickstarter. And then Dragonfall was DLC that they had turned into the Director's Cut version, which is much bigger. And I've been having such a blast playing that on my stream. And it's hard because I want to play as fast as I can so that we get value of it on the stream. But at the same time, I'm also like, no, I really am enjoying this game so much. I don't want to just blow through anything. I want to get a sense of what's going on. And so it's probably been the thing that it just ekes out Hyrule Warriors for me as like my favorite game so far this year.
All right. I really thought you were going to say Hyrule Warriors.
Victory.
Right? I actually have a couple. Hyrule Warriors is one of them because the co-op play is actually a game we enjoy so much that we've put a lot of time into it, and finding a game that we both really want to play again and again almost never happens without physical violence.
Yeah, the last
So-
time that happened was Kirby's Epic Yarn, which
Yeah.
was a lot of fun. Like that's a great
yeah.
two-player game.
So there was that. But the other one was Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright, which came out, I think, in the summer. And, I mean, Phoenix Wright games always do that to me, where I feel like I have to play them until they are completely done. Professor Layton games are not quite that strong of a pull for me because, while puzzles are nice, they're not the draw for me. I want to do the story, and so if I get stuck on a puzzle, then I just get frustrated. But they changed the puzzle system around a little bit, so you have fewer puzzles to do for the main story missions.
Okay, so you can
So I found it more enjoyable then.
kind of roll through a bit more.
Yeah,
That's nice.
and Fantasy Life,
Ah,
which is Animal Crossing RPG, as far as I'm concerned.
cool. I have to say that my favorite game this year was Destiny.
All right.
It's the game I've been waiting for since God knows when it was first announced. It's the game I bought a PS4 for.
Is this because it's got the Bungie lineage?
It does have a lot of the Bungie lineage to it, but
Okay.
it also doesn't. It didn't disappoint me in any of the fronts.
Okay.
Anything that I wanted from it. I actually enjoy the story that comes from the Grimoire cards. It's the first major game I've spent any time playing with people online in, and it's it actually pulled me back into modern consoles.
Does it feel like I've had a lot of people mention, or not mention, I've seen a lot of people, they write online that it is it's a really good I don't want to say casual, but it is kind of that I can jump in and I can play for 15 or 20 minutes, kind of get something done, and then walk away from it. I don't have to
Yes.
play for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But-
so it's really good for that.
You can also just play for like days
Yeah, just
and
constantly.
not eat or sleep.
Okay.
Wait, like in game or in real life?
Both.
Both.
If you die in real life, then that's pretty much it for you.
Well, my understanding is if you stand too still too long in that game, that is really it for you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's game of the year every year. Moving on, let's move on to television.
Sure.
Now are we doing normal TV separate from?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
TV.
Okay.
This year for me, probably I got a list of 3. I'll go. Sad ending to the Colbert Report this year. However, we got a replacement in the form of John Oliver's Last Week Tonight, which is probably the best comedy show. The Legend of Korra also wrapped up, so I'm going to call that a 2014
Sure, yeah.
in the most spectacular way. And Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. really came into its own this year.
I haven't been watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Well, if you've been paying any attention to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it's now kind of become required viewing.
Oh, okay.
It's stepped over from being a nice, happy side thing that you can kind of ignore to this is actually really good television, and it's tying into the overall story of all these movies.
Oh, maybe we'll have to check that one out.
All right. There's we're 3 seasons behind, though, I think.
Only 2.
We ran
Okay.
out of
Well,
things
maybe
to
that's not
watch
so bad.
anyway.
All right.
It's just hard to talk about it without being spoilery.
Right, right. Yeah.
Which is
Fair.
a mark of a good TV show, I think. Yeah, that's me.
All right.
The only thing I could add to that is Over the Garden Wall, which is it's a cartoon. It's sort of fairy tale-esque,
Okay.
and it's really entertaining. It's short, but it's just got a really solid magical world.
Got Elijah Wood.
It's got Elijah Wood. That's
All right.
all you need.
Yeah, I've heard about this, but I know next to nothing about it. But it's all right. Well, then
Basically,
So-
2 boys get lost in the woods.
Oh, neat.
And it goes from there.
Magical,
Of them trying to
like,
get out.
fantasy or magical like fairy tale.
is it like
Fairy tale.
is it like a
Fairy tale?
serial?
Yeah.
Like, oh, really? Oh, cool. Okay.
And it's a short run, too, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
6 episodes?
And they're short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds cool. I have literally nothing for this topic other than what Ian mentioned because I realized the amount of TV we watch from North
this year.
America
Well,
from
it's
this
like-
year is mostly sequels to stuff that's been going on forever that I don't know if I would deem top 2014.
We're mostly watching animation, like it's like Bob's Burgers,
Regular show.
regular show, Gravity Falls.
Yeah,
Right.
Just Gravity Falls.
Gravity
is
Falls
Thank
is
God.
awesome.
So
good.
Oh yeah, they're really good, but because they've been on for so long, I don't consider them like a 2014 thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And then Archer. I mean, like it's all that kind of stuff.
Common Rider.
Yeah.
We
No.
haven't gotten there yet. We kind of got slow on our Sentai.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if we're done with television, let's go on to anime.
All
The
right.
topic that's actually going to eat up most of our stuff.
I think so.
Okay.
Let's start on that end of the table.
Amagi
go
Brilliant
Beej.
Park. Amagi Brilliant
Really?
Park.
Really?
Amagi Brilliant Park.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, there's other stuff that came out this year that, like, Loco Doll is really good and it's
But
cute. and it's
Amagi's
nice.
snarky.
Yeah, it is so snarky.
it's so good.
And the everyone says this. I have no idea how true it is, but the names of the characters, Kanye Seiya and Isuzu Sento, apparently those are supposed to be Kanye West and 50 Cent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are other, like the princess, her name is Latifa. And so there's all these supposed to be these little kind
So
of
it's just like JoJo.
it's
but
essentially yeah, except I haven't watched JoJo and that frustrates you guys to no end, I'm sure. but yeah, Amagi Brilliant Park is just really great, kind of snarky. Like here's an amusement park that is just failing, and this is all the people who work there are the reasons why it's failing. But it turns out it's also magical, and it's because all these people are just kind of idiots and don't know how to do this stuff properly.
But they do that great thing with the main character,
Yeah.
Kanye. where he's completely full of himself, and you know it, but they don't overdo it to the point where you will forget that, and then he'll do a thing. He'll be like, "All right, he thinks he's the greatest thing in the world."
Yeah, he's Mr. Perfect, and he knows it, and yet they don't belabor that point.
Does he learn his lesson by the end?
Nope.
No, we don't think he does.
Oh, wow.
That's not what that show's about.
No.
The show is not about character growth for him in that sense.
Yeah. In a way, it's kind of.
No, not about I'm not the best thing in the world.
Yeah,
No, it's
that
it's
never
his earlier
happens.
trauma, getting his confidence back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's the issue. Is because he's overcorrecting for the fact that he kind of lost some. He used to be a child star, and now he's not a child star anymore. And there's something happened there. But the way they ended it on 13 episodes, it feels like there is so much room for like another 13 episodes after this, and I hope to hell they do it.
Is that one based on a light novel series as well?
Yeah, it
or-
definitely is
So
based on-
okay, yeah. So much like in the style of every other KyoAni thing that's
Yeah.
based on a light novel series, you'll get another couple sequels, and then you'll never get resolution.
Yeah, exactly. It'll just kind of peter out. I can probably think of more as the thing goes on, but have at her.
Okay.
All right. Well, I was looking at the list of 2014 anime that actually came out, and I'm gonna go with Hana Yamata.
Hana Yamata.
Yeah. Which is about, I had to write this down,
Yosakoi.
dancing.
That's the word.
It's very light, and I like the light stuff, but I also like it when they explore a thing that I've never seen before of a Japanese culture. So getting to see the girls dance and understand what that kind of dancing was about was really cool.
Yosakoi dancing is a very Japanese thing.
Yeah, it's super funny because it's the point of Yosakoi is that it's supposed to be very free form, like we're out having fun and we're doing what we want, and therefore but everybody dances in sync.
Yep.
It's not just people getting out and partying. It's like, no, we're out here to have fun and dance whatever, but it's like, no, you all have to do the moves at the right time.
It's very free form and fun and incredibly structured and rigid.
which
Yeah.
sounds exactly like a Japanese modern dance
But
thing would be.
it's about a middle school club.
I think they're in
I
middle
think they're
school,
middle
yeah.
school. And a girl who moves to Japan who wants to do this and has always wanted to do that.
She's
And
a half.
She forms this club, and she slowly sucks these other girls into doing it, becoming friends with them. And they do a couple annoying tropey things that they could have done without, but overall it's nice and light and fun.
Sounds really good.
Oh, yeah.
Cori?
All right. Ping pong.
Yep.
The animation.
I can't talk about this.
One of the best
Oh,
this year.
It is beautiful. It is beautifully animated. It is touching, and like with those mild adrenaline rush moments of sports.
I have a really hard time with Masaaki Yusa stuff because didn't he do
Mind Game, some episodes of Space Dandy this year.
yeah, and he did an episode of Adventure Time as well for people who are
Right.
watching that. The really
Yeah.
weird one that's
Yeah.
the really weird one.
You-
That
you'll
one
know.
actually
Yeah,
bothers
you'll
me
know the one with the
in-
birds
in a
and
certain
the
way.
beans. But didn't he also do Kimonozume?
Kimonozume, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so he's really big on this. His style is kind of like his art style.
If you want to talk free form and wild, that's
Yeah.
very sketchy, very outside the bounds.
Lots of hard angles, and so like somebody's arm is not represented as like drawn like a perfect arm, but it's like drawn as like you have a perfect right angle, and that's all there is to
I
it.
can't get beyond the art style.
It's really
I
really
try
like
Yeah.
hard to do that
Yeah.
with some anime, and that I can't even.
Now, Ping
I will-
Pong
I will
has,
try.
has cemented him as my favorite Japanese director.
I will try to watch it. We downloaded it so we can watch it. I will try to watch it.
It's a short series, 13 episodes, tells a complete story, which is nice.
Yeah, it doesn't faff around with
Doesn't
the
meander.
sports bits. It's not like, oh, here's the regional tournament, let's spend 4 episodes. Like, no, 1 episode per thing.
Nice.
So not
Oh,
20.
well, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's not really about
It's
the
supposed
ping
to
pong,
be
although
time.
like the ping pong is important to all of the characters.
What is it about then?
It's about the effect ping pong has on the characters,
Wow.
mostly.
Neat. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm just looking over my list and I just realized something. Everything in my list here has the caveat of if you can get over the blank.
Well, what does that say?
You like interesting things that might not be for everybody.
So ping pong is definitely
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
my list as well. If you can get over the art, then it's fantastic. And much in the same vein, my first one on this list is JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, specifically Stardust Crusaders, which came out this year, which is another one of those, if you can get over the art style, it's a wonderful romp.
See, that I had a hard time with JoJo's because of
The bad things being
Years
done.
of judgment.
no, well, the first freaking season, like
Fan and Blood?
is that what that's called?
Yes.
Okay, because
The first arc.
it's just referred to like whenever I've seen it as JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, because it's like it's the very first arc. It's where it's Joseph. He's a
Or-
young boy, or is
No,
it
that's
Jonathan?
Battle Tendency.
Okay.
Jonathan, yeah.
Okay, so he's a young boy. That's when Dio, like they meet Dio for
Yeah.
the first time, kind of deal, and gets adopted by his family. And the fact that Dio is such an awful person because he's the villain. Like he is everything bad about everything. He represents that. And it's so like it'd be one thing if he was like a supernatural agent of like some sort of what like in but he's just like a young boy who's like I'm
For
going,
like 2 episodes.
yeah, I'm going
Yeah.
to take all this stuff for myself, and just watching him be awful, it was kind of like I can't watch any more of this guy being awful and getting away with it. It just really was like grinding something.
One of
in
those
my head.
nature versus nurture
Beej,
questions.
Beej can't
Yeah.
handle that kind of personality on TV.
Whenever I see somebody who's just bad for the sake of being bad because they just love being bad so much, it was like kind of, and you're just doing horrible things. It was when he put the kid's dog in the incinerator. I was like,
Yeah.
I can't handle this. I got to get out.
But
So-
that's not Stardust Crusaders.
no.
And
Stardust
this-
Crusaders is amazing.
And this is why one of the reasons why I like Stardust Crusaders is that it's a perfect jumping in point for the whole JoJo world. It's where I jumped on the train, and it's 2 generations down the line. Dio still is in it, but
Right.
for the first half of the series that came out in 2014, he's just the big bad sitting in his chair back in headquarters while he sends out his henchmen, and he's not really doing much.
Yeah, because you had shown us the first episode, and it was so ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I think I can get behind this because it is just so crazy.
It's,
Yeah, and it's like it gives you kind of that ease in
Yeah.
so that you can go back and watch the other stuff and
Yeah.
kind of be in the right mindset
It's
to
like you
understand
start-
that it is ridiculous and it's meant to be ridiculous.
Yeah.
It gives you the taste rather than dumping you in all at once.
I'm hoping to actually, get there because, yeah.
Do we want to go back around the table here again?
I think we should.
All right.
Do you have another one?
I am attempting to find the a 2014 list
Would
of
you like
anime.
to see
'cause
some
there's
of the ones on my list that we watched together?
oh, that one's so good.
Do you want to take it? I
yeah.
have a few.
Yeah. Okay.
I came prepared.
The problem is I want to go back to stuff that came out in like January and in March because I want to know about. I want to
went
be able to
over
mention those as well.
2014 and I couldn't. Nothing that was of my taste.
Okay,
so,
good.
I mean,
Gekkan Shoujo Nozaki-kun, Monthly
Right,
Girls Nozaki-kun,
right.
Very
I
good.
forgot about that.
which is a fantastic manga. And it's a yonkoma, and it's drawn not like you would see a normal yonkoma. It's drawn in like very wide rectangular panels, and the art is actually quite good. It's just that's the structure they use. But the anime is so good at taking what happened there and using it as a really good storyboard for kind of like build. Like if you liked Azumanga Daioh, or if you liked any of these other kind of. If you like Nichijou, I mean, you're probably going to like just about any other comedy as well. But there's something so good about Nozaki-kun where all of the characters. This is something I thought was so amazing about the show. Each character, they're all idiots in their own little special way, but they all have a foil in somebody else. And so when you have somebody dealing with somebody else, like if it's Nozaki-kun and he's kind of he's kind of like clueless and blameless. And there's Chio-chan, who's very interested in him. She tends to be his straight man, and he does all the really ridiculous stuff. But then Chio-chan will be dealing with somebody else. She has a huge crush on Nozaki-kun, but she also has to kind of like deal with the fact like, oh my god, he's really just this weird, but I really like him, but he's really just this weird. But then she will be dealing with like one of the other girls in the series, and she will be just a wreck. Like she'll just be like completely all over the place and goofy and whatever, and the other girls are now her foil. And then that girl, like Seo or whatever, she's now dealing with somebody else, and she's the ridiculous one. And I love how that all there's like a little web where it's like with
spirals madly.
yeah, that everybody has somebody who they can be like normal with or normal towards, but then they end up being goofy with somebody
Now,
else.
just to clarify, is this a show where like it's a magical ridiculousness?
Absolutely not.
Like Nichijou or like
Normal.
No.
Okay, so
It's just your normal kind of high school whatever, and it's kind of boys like the boys ended up playing an otome game, which is a maidens game, which is where you date a bunch of boys because they want to get a better idea of, okay, what is it that girls want, but then they all fall in love with the main characters. So it's
really well done in the sense that a lot of the characters are very almost two-dimensional, like they've like almost one trait, but it's so there and so well done that you don't care that they're not like a fully functioning person.
It's on my list to see. So
yeah,
It's a
that
lot
was
of
super
fun.
good, super good.
You good with that?
I will use that as a second one. Yeah.
My second one would be Shirobako, which is an anime about making an anime.
Yeah.
meta.
Really about the industry in total.
It starts with I think 5 girls who are in an animation club in high school, and you get to see that for like the first 10 minutes or so, and then they just like speed forward to now that they're in the industry. So you see the one who's trying to be a voice actor just not really getting to be one because she's not in the industry, but she's trying really hard. It focuses more around the one who gets the production job.
Okay.
And I didn't realize this until about halfway through the series, but they're not making an anime from a manga. They're making an original work.
Oh, wow.
Which means you have the director who's working on the storyboards as they're doing it, and you see all these problems going on with how he's not inspired to work, and the other person's has locked him into a jail cell until he gets part B done.
They literally have a cage in the back room
Yeah.
that he suckers the guy into, and then he locks him inside, and he's like, you're not leaving
with
until you draw
with the promise of
storyboards.
chicken. And they have this really annoying character who's also a production assistant, and he's very much like, oh well, I got all my work done, and they were like, no, you didn't.
He's also been effing it up for everybody else.
You didn't get the keyframes done on time, and it whacked out production for like 2 weeks, and now you're going around saying how great it is you have all your work done on time and how awesome you are.
Well, and what's
Super
also great about about everybody in this in the series, like they all have their own little roles to play and stuff. You get to see how there's usually little moments where you'll get an insight into somebody who's doing keyframing or somebody who's doing CG, and you get this sense of, okay, what is important about their job that it applies to how everything has to work. Like when you see the main character as a production assistant, like she's basically to help she's not a director, she's just an assistant, and then she has to go get into her car and drive across town to go visit an artist who has been doing keyframes and then pick those things up,
That
and
sort of thing actually happens.
yeah, and she's racing around like an idiot in her car,
she's
like it's
checking
all
the
freaking initial
keyframes.
D, right?
Yeah.
And people are saying like, oh no, that actually is what happens.
When you say it, it's literally an initial D reference within
Yeah.
the context of the anime.
Exactly.
But the idea of racing back and forth between people's houses trying to get keyframes is something that does happen.
Yeah, and people are like, apparently they're afraid to ride with production
Certain
assistants when they're
yeah.
driving because they're so
always in a
freaking
hurry.
reckless. Yeah.
Well, they have a job to get done, and they have a tight schedule. And you also get to see things like the CG artists having a hate-on for traditional artists, and the traditional artists having a hate-on for the CG artists because they're stealing each other's jobs, and which one's better. And then some of them getting to that realization that some things work really well this way, and we could work together, and we should learn new skills to be in this industry.
The other things that's also really fun about Shirobako is apparently almost everybody in the series is based on a real life person.
Really?
And yeah, and so there are like when I'm not going to give away the one thing that happens in episode 12, but in earlier episodes, there are people in the show who show up for like they only have about 5 or 6 lines. And I was on ADTRW on Something Awful, and people were posting stills of those people, and then they were posting pictures of people who have similar names dressed in the same outfit, and they're like, that's where they got the picture from, because apparently they're getting all this stuff off of the Shirobako like production blog. It's
Right.
like, this person is so and so, this person is so and so, we've changed their names slightly, but they're all supposed to be this person, that person. And I was kind of blown away because I'm like, wow, this is really inside baseball for the anime industry. But yeah.
Nice. Cori?
For my second pick, I'm going to go with Parasite.
Ooh, that's an
wow.
interesting choice.
Yeah, well, I've watched it and it's really good. It's like really cleanly done in Madhouse style, and it was really surprising that they didn't have an anime up to this point.
Yeah.
Since it's going on 25 years
94, right?
now. 90 started in 90.
Jeez.
I heard that they updated the setting too to like
Yep.
it's like
Yeah.
it's a modern
modern.
setting. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was reading about people complaining about the fact that it's like, oh well, back when they didn't have cell phones, you couldn't, it was a lot easier to write the plot, because it's like in the 1990s hardly anybody had a cell phone, but now everybody has a cell phone, and people are complaining that affects the plot so much because people just now don't have cell phones, which is so dumb because everyone has a cell phone. And I'm kind of like, if you understand where it came from, you know why they can't do this.
Yeah, well, it's like at the beginning, the guy stops the parasite from infecting his brain by wrapping his arm in earbuds.
Ah.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you read the manga?
Yeah, I read it.
How
It was
does
a long
compare?
time ago.
Because
the
I've only
feel
read
is
the
really
manga
similar.
for it. Okay.
Yeah. And
I'm
it's
not-
like generally the same, like all of the conceit. Like,
Is it still really gory and
A bit.
grotesque?
yeah, it's grotesque.
Okay.
You've got like people's heads unwinding as they reveal their parasite blade things.
But there's no actual gore. Like you don't
There's
see.
a bit of blood, not like directly on camera, but like puddles.
Right.
Okay. So
Yeah.
not quite like what they did in the manga
Yeah.
with it. Okay.
Where you just
But it's
basically
still-
bite someone's head off. Yeah.
Yeah, you see someone get their head bit off.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
Just not. So
But
much
that's
blood.
like one of the feature shots, I guess, of the
One
series.
of the keyframes.
Yeah. It's like you'd have to have that shot, but for the rest of it, it's just like, here's some shadows getting sliced, or here's a dog eating a body in a corner.
Oh,
Ah, yeah, yeah.
I might be more better with that then.
You could try it.
I liked the manga, but I don't really go for grotesque horror very often.
In motion.
But the manga was very well written, and so I've been curious about the anime.
Yeah, and the style's like I said, like very clean. So
Very true to the manga in that respect.
that's
Yeah.
good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Ian?
Okay. So, in my theme of if you can get over the costumes and understand why they're there, my second pick of the year is Kill la Kill.
Which is incredibly, it's very controversial.
It's incredible, yeah. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that it was so hyped. And it's one of those popular anime.
Right.
But I think, unlike Attack on Titan, it's one of those anime that's going to be important and we're going to look back on in 10, 15 years and say this is a classic, or this is something
It
that's
affected somebody's style or
Exactly.
story.
yeah.
It's Studio Trigger, same people who did Gurren Lagann.
Gurren Lagann, Gurren Lagann was when Studio Trigger was with Gainax, and then they moved out and did their own thing.
it's
And
the same studio doing Little Witch Academia
Ah, okay.
And Inferno Cop.
and Inferno Cop.
And Inferno Cop, which is important.
Yeah.
Because they also did another show this year, too, which
Yep.
is completely different in tone. But anyway.
But yeah, this if you're not familiar with Kill la Kill, it's a story of a girl who goes to a high school that's sort of a oppressive fascist society, and she has to kill her way up the food chain to attack the head of the school and find out who killed her dad. After a few episodes, you find out that that's not really the full story, but underneath all of the main story, there's subtexts of stories of growing up, coming of age, the ideas of what sort of face you put on to the world through the clothing you choose, and what clothing says about who you actually are as a person.
Yeah.
And it's probably fair to point out there are some triggering things in this. So if you have an issue with child abuse, I would recommend not watching that
Well,
show.
just skip an episode.
Yeah, you'd have to probably skip an episode
Yeah.
or two. But I mean, it's involved in the plot.
Yes.
Which sucks, but that's part of what's
You
involved
don't-
in the plot.
You don't
so
have to watch everything to be culturally aware of it.
it's true,
too. I'd
exactly.
like to point that out.
It's very true.
But I would call it one of my favorite series, just in terms of the good feelings from the end of it, and in terms of its importance in the industry as a whole and how it's going to influence things going forward.
Do we have room for a couple more?
Oh yes.
Okay, Silver Spoon
Yep.
did a second season this
Yes.
year, so I'm
Not this
counting
year,
it.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, yeah.
Solid
Forgot about
choice.
that one.
Silver Spoon is about a kid who is he comes into middle school, he's graduating into high school, and he doesn't want to, he runs away from where he was living and comes into he decides he's going to join this agricultural school in Hokkaido. Yeah, Yezo High, and he knows nothing about this because he did not grow up in an agricultural life. His dad is a salaryman and is very, very strict, and it's kind of part of the reason why he ran away and said, I'm going to go join this other high school instead. He has a whole bunch of other stuff going on in his life.
He was kind of born with the titular silver spoon in his mouth.
Yeah, exactly. And
No, that's not why it's called
No,
that.
that's not why it's called
Yes,
it.
exactly.
No.
Yeah.
Ian's making things up now.
But the series is really good because it's done by the same woman who drew Full Metal Alchemist, and she manages to take something which sounds like it'd be kind of it'd only be interesting to like a certain
Agricultural school.
I know, which doesn't seem like it'd be that interesting, but the fact is if you have never been to an agricultural school, there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes on there that you probably know nothing about. She really did her research because she used to live in Hokkaido as well, so she's used to this kind of lifestyle and understands this, and really feels like she puts a genuine spin on the kind of stuff you have to go through, like getting up at 4 in the morning because you have to go take care of the horses, and then having all your chores to do in the morning before school. Because everyone has to muck in an agricultural school. You all have work you have to do. You have chores you have to get done because you're taking care of animals, you're taking care of plants, and they're part of not only your grades but part of the general lifestyle of the school. And it's super good. And they got a second season.
And the second season is just as good as the first.
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
Is the key thing.
Yeah, the manga's astounding, and so I mean, it would have been very hard for them to just fuck the whole thing up. But there you are. Hi.
Hey.
Hi.
I can tell you're very excited because you're talking very fast.
Really like Inosaji.
Super fast. I talk fast too. I'm going to count Mushishi then.
All right.
Because it got a second season this year.
Yeah.
And it was on my list originally anyway. I classified it as a feel-good anime because it's very slow-paced. But I also like the fact that they will sometimes do an entire episode where you don't see the main character until near the end when a resolution maybe needs to happen.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I described Mishishi as a wandering doctor in the spiritual old Japan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, because it's about a guy who he's a mushi?
He's a mushishi.
Yeah.
Right, because mushi is bug.
Yeah, Mushi
Yeah.
is bug, but in the context of the series, Mushi are actually little magical creatures that
Well,
permeate
they're-
things in Japan.
I mean, I know they come off as magical, but I like to think of them as like, here's science we don't understand.
I could see that.
in this
I mean,
world?
like they're generally spirits, right?
Yeah.
So they're generally
But
like
it's
they have
not
motive.
like-
Yeah, and what's great about them is that what's really interesting about the Mushi in this is that they are very they don't give a crap about humans.
well,
they-
I don't know if they give a crap about much other
Yeah.
than like any other animal
They're-
might.
But the thing is that they're not affected or interested in humanity. Like
They're not malevolent towards us. And
They
they're not
live on a
benevolent.
plane of existence that overlaps with ours, but it has nothing to like. They have no interest in us. There's no intelligence there that relates to our intelligence. Like there's no way for us to interface with these creatures.
That's why it's like they're, because Cori said they're kind of like a spirit of some sort.
Yeah.
Because not everybody can see them. The Mushishi can see them.
Yeah.
Because they know how to deal with them, and they have scrolls of text where it's like medical journals of like, here's how this works, and we haven't figured out a thing to do with this, and
Yeah.
this is the habits of this creature. But I like the fact that it will start as a story that's completely separate from the main character. He will come in, and his only job is really to explain why this is happening. You will hit the end of an episode, and sometimes they can't even resolve it, or you get what is kind of a bad ending for the character who's going through the thing.
because that's just
But
what
that's
happens.
the
Yeah,
resolution.
because you can have that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a supernatural show, and I generally hate supernatural shows, but this is really good.
It's got
Yeah.
that really moody art style too, doesn't it?
But it's also very calming. Like, I know most of the time I have to prod Beej because he falls asleep if we don't watch it early enough in the evening.
Yeah.
I can see that. Cori, do you have a third pick?
Well, I was giving myself some time to look over the calendar, and if I didn't come up with anything, it was going to be Gundam Reconquista and G.
Oh, hey.
Ooh, really?
Yeah.
But did you come up with something?
No.
Okay,
I only,
so
made,
it is
I only
Gundam.
made it back to September. I was looking at things. I was like, I read this manga. I wonder if the anime's any good.
No.
So why G?
Because I saw it. No, I really enjoy it.
I don't know what it is. Tell me, what is it?
It is a Gundam series.
But
mostly.
it's not.
Mostly.
Okay.
There is mostly a Gundam in it.
But it's not.
It's not.
Ian is really into Gundam, you see.
Well,
so.
it's post Universal Century.
Okay.
Like far future.
But in Universal Century.
But in Universal Century, the universe.
So
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's like there's this academy, and there's a space elevator, and there are pirates that might be from America or Ameria,
I
as
see.
it is called.
All right.
Yeah, and they're trying to take over whatever, and then there's like a pro-military branch, and it's just like the normal Gundam politicking and stuff. All at the same time, there's just like these really lighthearted kids just like frolicking around, piloting Gundams,
Like
and stuff,
14-year-olds.
accidentally killing people.
Ah.
Yeah.
People.
It's
All
like
right.
the ending theme is like a horrible earworm. And if you listen to the full version of it, you realize that it's kind of really not a lighthearted
It's
song.
not a happy
even
song
though,
at all.
Even though
All
it
right.
looks so happy.
All right.
I'm just wondering, like, now watching the ending, I'm just like, how many of these people die? Just, I have no idea.
And when and
When
how
and how.
and by
All right.
whom.
Yeah.
Cool. We should really pick that up.
Yeah, but it's got like a nice, light, sketchy style. And
Yeah, I watched the first episode.
Yeah,
You guys
yeah.
showed it, and I was like, yeah, I think I should probably pick this up at some point.
And because it's a new kind of a new property, you can jump in very easily. It's not like the other Universal Century Gundam series, which require a mountain of back knowledge and history within this world within 50 years.
Yeah, watching Gundam now is work.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, in typical new type style, the main character emphasizes, why can I not, words, with
That's
everyone. Everyone in the world. He's just like, I like everyone. Why can't we all just get along? The rainbow sparkles.
Yeah. Ian?
So that brings me to my. I'm going to call it a. Do you guys have another anime pick, or are we going to wrap
I
it up
can
there?
do one more, but I can stop.
Then I could do one more, but I can stop.
Okay, so we'll do one more round after this.
All right.
Okay.
I'll be quick.
So, my pick then coming off of Cori was Gundam Unicorn, which just wrapped up this year.
Oh, okay.
It's been being released an episode a year basically for the past 5 years.
Does it fit into... Wait, an episode a year for the last 5 years?
Yes, and each episode is about an hour and a half to 2 hours long.
Oh, I see.
And it's Gundam Unicorn is the culmination of all the Universal Century Gundams. It wraps up the entire Universal Century storyline,
Okay.
basically to a T, giving a closure to the stories of Amuro Ray and Char Aznavour that happened in the first Gundam series back in 1979.
Okay.
And so, if you start watching it from the beginning of not from 1979, but
Yeah.
from the first episode of Unicorn, it's a self-contained story, but there's so much reference material that's brought up.
It's drawing on a lot of lore.
It's drawing on a lot of lore. There's so much fan service to those people who actually know who the characters are and who they represent and what
Right,
their
right.
lineage is.
Okay.
That it's a wonderful closure to the Universal Century Gundam series, and on top of that, it's brilliantly animated and beautifully scored, and it's just worth watching if you haven't actually taken the chance to do so.
Cool.
So that's pick number 3. Beej.
Tonari no Seki-kun, My Neighbor Seki-kun, which is based on another yonkoma. It's about a guy who, in his schoolroom, he sits in the anime main character spot. Mm-hmm. Right next to the window, he sits in the hero spot.
Back right.
Yeah, he sits in the very back right of the room from the teacher's perspective. So
For an actual reason this time.
and he sits behind a guy who's very tall. And the thing is class will start, and he will reach in his bag and he'll pull out something. And you never really know what it is he's going to pull out. And the story's not really about him because he never speaks. It's about the girl who sits next to him. And she sees him pull this stuff out of his bag and starts playing with it. And she's trying to learn, but she keeps looking over at him and she wants to scold him for the fact that he's constantly screwing around. But she gets drawn in.
outraged.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
gets like pissed off, and she wants to like report to him to the teacher and stuff like that. But she keeps like, oh, you got to stop doing that. No, stop doing that kind of thing. And inevitably, she's the one who gets caught for disturbing what's going on in
Well,
class.
sometimes she gets really hooked in on what he's actually doing.
But
She, really engaged.
That's the other
and
thing too,
interested.
is that she starts to like trying to figure out what he's doing. She starts to figure out what's going on, and then she starts to get into his little storyline that he's building, or she's building a story on top of it that has nothing to do with what he's doing. And then she ends up not studying for all of
Yeah,
class.
and then she gets mad about that.
And it's super funny, and there's the animation, like the manga's great. The animation did a great job at taking what is essentially very short stories and turning it into, and it's not really a yonkoma, I guess. It's not really done in 4 panels, but there's a few 4-panel ones that show up. So it is just kind of your normal story. But it's goofy and fun, and I love it.
Also, it's very short.
It's also very short. They're like 15-minute episodes.
So it's a good one if you're like, I just need 15 minutes of funny right now.
Yep. Next.
All right. The only one I have left is Barakamon. I'm noticing a theme where I like to watch anime that's about things
It's so good.
that are very specific. This one is about a guy who does traditional calligraphy, and he ends up. I mean, they don't really go into how the calligraphy world works or anything like that. It's much more of a relationship thing and a growth
Finding yourself.
because he in the first episode he enters a competition and his stuff is perfect, traditionally perfect, except the guy who comes, the curator of the museum,
Yeah.
a higher up, comes and looks at it and says how uninspired it is. It's not creative, it's not interesting, but that's not how Japanese art forms work. They get codified, you hit a standard, and when you do the perfect thing, you win. And
That's what he's been doing.
That's
And
what
so
he's
now
been
this
doing.
guy says, this is just kind of
he says it to him, and he punches him.
yeah. This dude's like 70, and
Yeah.
the guy who did the art is like in his 20s,
He's
and he
20,
just
so he's
knocks this
considered-
guy out.
He's considered a genius at this craft because of how young he is, and as punishment, because he refuses to apologize, he gets sent to this
To Shikoku Island, I
Yep.
think. Yeah.
and he's given a room that all the kids seem to have access to, regardless of whether he wants them to or not.
The neighborhood kids.
Yeah, all
And
the kids who live on the island.
They've been using it as a clubhouse, so it's completely messed up because they haven't gotten to cleaning
Mm-hmm.
it, and they're constantly bugging him, but they're causing him to stop looking at the world a certain way. And so
all-
it's a nice one.
All about him basically finding his way into the community there and
Yeah.
finding inspiration through the daily life in small town Japan.
The fun part is watching how people react to him finding these things. Because while it was like it wasn't like they sent him there to go and find these things. They sent him there to cool off, refocus, so that he could come back, apologize to the 70-year-old man, and continue doing his work. He's not doing what they want him to do.
Yeah. Okay, well, he's trying to find his inspiration, and it's
He's becoming creative. That's not what they want.
There's that too. Yeah. Anyway,
Good series. Watch it.
Did you know that all of Space Dandy happened this year?
really?
No, I did not.
Started in January, the first season.
Oh.
Even realize.
First season of Space Dandy was in January. I just went through the
Wow.
entire year calendar.
Oh my God.
Yep. So Space Dandy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is kind of
One of our favorite directors and one of our favorite composers.
Yep.
it's so
And some of our other favorite directors, because they have special guest director episodes.
Yeah, they do. They do the animators are different every episode thing.
and so
much.
the styles will change, and the one thing that I remember about this was that it was kind of started as an experiment to create anime that all like worldwide audiences would enjoy as well.
Right.
Yeah, so it was like we're going to create this very episodic thing. It's going to it should appeal to the American market, and I think it was kind of that sense of, hey, Cowboy Bebop did really well. What else can we do to recapture the market in the same way? And I think that Space Dandy was kind of like the cynical attempt.
And it's not at all Cowboy Bebop.
No, it's
No.
definitely not Cowboy Bebop,
No.
but it is really interesting.
Yep.
And
Says-
it is a bit cynical.
It's just the guy who
well.
constantly fell asleep during it and
Yeah.
stopped watching it because
I was tired so much.
You're always tired.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, but it's episodic, but everything that happened in the episode did happen.
Yeah.
In continuity. Like, the characters will die, but remember the stuff that happened during the episode that they died.
Yeah.
That was always weird.
Yeah.
But interesting.
Yeah, I think maybe if there's another season, they'll
Maybe.
explain that finally. They've been hinting that they've been getting close to an explanation, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know how that series is going to
Resolve.
be looked back upon.
Yeah.
I don't think as a series it's very strong,
Yeah.
but
No.
certain episodes are really, really good, and I think they might just resonate with me because of the directors, and I think other people who have favorite directors, it's probably, a good place to start doing research about anime if you actually want to go in and learn more about, finding your favorite director and finding animators and
Yeah.
Yeah.
composers and writers. That's
I-
a good place to start.
I feel like in terms of how will it be looked back upon, it will be forgotten by the majority, but remembered again by a few who like have very specific episodes and styles.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, you like Masaki Yuasa? You got to see episode 46 of Space Dandy if you
Yeah.
haven't yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's
It's a little
his.
gem.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is an episode you guys would probably like. where they go back to Meow's home planet.
Oh, we
no,
saw that
didn't
one.
see
Yeah.
that one.
Okay.
We didn't
Yeah.
do that.
Okay, good.
Super
I was
good.
like,
Oh,
you had to have seen that one.
that was delicious.
Yeah, it's a Groundhog Day episode, but
Yeah.
it's all about small town Japan
Yep. On a weird planet in the
on a
middle
weird
of.
planet.
Did we describe what Space Dandy was, or did we just
I
expect
just said
people
that
to
it was
know?
episodic and that the characters
Yes.
remembered what happened. It's like there's Space Dandy and his crew on their
They're
Hawaiian
bounty
spaceship.
hunters,
They're
right?
bounty hunters. They're chased by an evil space gorilla that flies in the Statue of Liberty's head.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I'm glad we're explaining this because
well,
otherwise it
it's-
wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah, I know.
Bondage, Statue of Liberty head.
Yeah, you're right.
Bondage Statue of
That's-
Liberty
that's
head,
right.
and they go and try to, and mostly fail at capturing aliens to take back for just
Bounties.
bounties, but it's
Registration.
just registration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
'cause
not to
it's,
kill them or anything like that. It's just like they're
to
just capturing to
find
tag
their
them.
existence, tagging them,
Yeah.
and that's I think the reference where it's supposed to be like Cowboy Bebop is like, oh, they're bounty hunters. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
they do a thing, except
And the
And
aliens
also-
terrible
are
at it.
typically sentient
Yeah.
creatures that they're trying to like kidnap.
and they never get their bounty, and it's like, yeah, that's about where it stops.
Super wacky and lighthearted and brightly colored.
What's your
Mostly
fourth?
lighthearted.
What's your fourth?
My fourth? Okay. So if you can get over the animation style,
Which I can't. I can't do it.
Wow,
I was-
what is this?
really, really happy to see Knights of Sidonia this year,
Ah.
which I don't know, might have been on Alex's pick, but
I think it was on Cams as well.
yeah, it's. I know it's one of Alex's favorite directors, and so the art style really pinged him is a great thing. But it's the first hard sci-fi anime we've had in a long time that's serial, and it's dark.
Yeah.
and it's true to physics. Like it pushes all of my buttons.
All right.
What's it about?
What's it about? It's about a ship that maybe came from Earth and maybe is a piece of Earth because Earth was destroyed by these aliens who they're now fleeing from. And so it's sort of a colony ship. And the aliens are back. So kids in these mecha suits have to go out and fight the aliens. And oops, here's a kid that came up from the bowels of the ship that's been training on an old simulator from his grandfather. And so
The kids are all clones.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Oh, all right.
he's a prodigy. Well, he's a clone.
Aren't the other kids clones?
Not-
Isn't that why they all look the same? And
No. So there's only a few of them that are clones.
Oh, okay, a
The
few
other
of them are
ones,
clones.
everyone's been genetically engineered so that they can photosynthesize rather than having to eat a lot of protein. There's a bear with a mechanical arm who's the cook of the school, and she used to be a mecha pilot.
That's like a Nihei trope, though, is a bears doing human stuff.
That's
apparently. Yeah.
but it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a really interesting series. Unfortunately, it's very CG, and it's not quite to the point where you can't tell. It's Corey, you describe it as being like Ruby.
It's like Ruby, or like, did you guys watch Ronya at all?
Yeah.
It's like Ronya,
yeah.
Oh.
but worse.
Oh.
yeah.
but better.
Okay.
And it's very divisive. The
Yeah, because
Alright.
it's at least Ronya had the Ghibli style to lean back on.
Yeah.
And Sidonia does not have that style to
but
lean
it's
back on.
but it's actually better animated than Ronya.
I plan on sitting down actually and watching more
I-
Ronya because I need to see if this actually gets somewhere
don't
that I
know
can
if I
just
can.
ignore the style.
I feel like Ronya is just like for kids,
Yeah, I'm
That
not sure
might
if I'm
be-
going to be able to
and
get
it's
might
just
be.
not going to have any depth or.
But I have been wanting to watch Knights of Sidonia because I've heard a lot of people say that it's a good show and it's one that they've watched, but no one's ever told me what it's been about before.
Alternatively, you can go and read the manga if you get turned off by the animation style. It's pretty
I've
good
harder
that way.
time actually going through manga
Hmm.
than watching anime. I don't feel the need to consume it as much as I do anime.
Okay.
Is that's our picks for anime stuff?
I've got a few more categories here if you'd like to.
Yeah. What other
jump in.
categories do we have?
Yeah, so that's anime. Music. Does anyone have any music picks from 2014?
I
Sure.
started listening more to
Nope.
Goose House.
Okay.
And people have heard about that. If you join me on my stream, Goose House is a cool Japanese band that streams
Yeah.
live. They do like a song every week.
We need to go over there and properly mic them.
Yeah,
That's
their
what happens.
miking is terrible in their studio they have, but good God, they're great. They're really good at what they do. Okay, and they did 2 anime songs this year, or they did one, the Gin no Saji, the Silver Spoon ending theme. They're like 7 people and they all sing, but it's not like a choir. It's almost like a youth group,
Yeah.
and yet it's really infectious. Like, and then they also did the opening theme for Your Lie in April.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, Shigatsu no Kimi no Uso,
Yep.
and it's and both of those songs are really, really exceptional. And they also do covers. They do a ton of covers on their through their YouTube channel. So, yeah. Anyway, moving on.
The only music that I know of that was actually new of this year is that weird band that Graham found.
Charisma.com.
Yeah, charisma.com. And no, he's right. Watch that.
Yeah.
Yeah, watch the
Read them, watch
Charisma.com
them.
videos.
They're rad.
Listen to
All
their
of them.
music, watch them, and they will probably cut you. It's true.
Taylor Swift's Shake It Off. It's really good.
Is that off her newest album, or is
Yeah.
that okay?
Yeah, which led me to realize she's a year younger than I am.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Because I was like, why would it be titled 1989? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. OK Go's new album, Hungry Ghosts. It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
And Mystery Skulls album, Forever.
I've never heard of this band.
Mystery Skulls?
Yeah.
Money? The Turntable Turnabout.
Nope.
I think I just need to go over and listen to Corey's music.
I don't. What style are they?
Daft Punky.
Yeah, I was going to say electronic.
Okay. Cool.
Poppy.
I'm more than happy to listen to music people like that I know to put in front of me because
I just
you
like
guys generally all have
I can
good taste,
feed
so-
you music.
Yeah.
Like
I
all
like
day.
the names of these things. You said Hungry Ghosts?
Is the OK Go album.
Yeah, I'm hooked on ghosts.
All right.
Okay.
The big single that Mystery Skulls launched for this album earlier this year is called Ghost.
So more
Okay,
ghost
that sounds
music.
cool. I will start all the ghost
There's a
music.
theme.
I had a hard time this year picking music. Again, many things I discovered this year, but most of it didn't come out in 2014.
Ah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I had a very, very large iTunes playlist sorted properly based on date added versus date released.
Right.
So what actually came out this year, my top pick is the Gangnam Style, as done by the Glee cast, played at half speed.
Oh, okay. That was good because I think you played that for me.
Yeah, it's
Was it the half speed or the 800%?
it's the half speed one.
Okay.
It's the one that sounds like if you were captured by demons,
That's only half speed.
and then the demons took you to their demon club.
Right.
And there are demons, grinding on demon poles and demon pole dancing, and you walk up in the demon club and you get to the demon boss and he starts questioning you. That's what the whole song sounds like.
Nice.
All right.
Really good. Tokyo Ska Paradise Orchestra has been doing,
That's fine.
collaborations with other Japanese groups, and two of them this year were spectacular. The one with Mongol 800, and they did a single with Asian Kung Fu Generation.
Oh, really?
I was just checking out both of those.
Cool, okay.
If you like Japanese ska music.
Those are my two favorite really long named bands: Tokyo Ska Paradise Orchestra and Asian Kung Fu Generation.
But you don't like Soil and Pimp Sessions?
That's not a long enough name.
Oh,
But it's got air quotes in it.
Does it?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Soil
Okay.
and Pimp
so
Sessions.
sarcastic.
And my third favorite pick was Viva Namida from
Space Dandy.
Yasuyuki Okamura.
Oh, okay.
We found out about him. He's been worming his way into. He's basically the Japanese Prince.
Yeah,
so
but
he does pop funk.
Yeah,
Huh.
that's essentially it.
So you said that was from Space Dandy?
It's the opening theme.
Oh, right.
really?
Yeah, I was
Okay.
thinking
Okay,
pop funk.
okay,
It's the
yeah.
opening theme.
Okay, I can see that.
Okay. Any other music?
Actually, and it's funny you bring up Space Dandy because the ending theme.
The ending theme
Yes.
is also infectious.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
very
and
much so.
the woman who does that, she also did the themes for Arakawa Under the Bridge.
Yep.
All right.
And
Which
you
is
can
a
tell.
great song.
It's all those are oh god.
All the great songs.
She's really good. She's really good.
Does anybody have any books?
I read Raising Steam by Terry Pratchett because I love Discworld.
Okay.
I have no idea if that came out this year or not, but I read it. I think it's about the only book I read this year.
It might have come out this year.
Heather, anything?
The only books I've read this year are the first 6 Discworld books.
Corey?
I don't think any of the books I read came out this year because I was on a big 70s sci-fi binge
Which one did you enjoy the most, would you say?
that I read this year.
Yeah.
That is so difficult.
I'm sorry.
Part of my New Year's resolution that I think I could actually keep is actually just keeping track of what I read in a year. So that I don't have problems like this.
Everybody needs to go out and either listen to or read Flash Boys by Michael Lewis.
Oh, that's the.
The stock trading one.
It's
Yeah.
the story about how high frequency trading came to be and the fight against it by one single brave investor from Canada. It's you think, wow, stock trading, that sounds like a really boring thing. It's
then all your money disappears, and you realize, I should maybe know a little bit more about this.
well, it's done up like a story. It's been
Oh, okay.
not
So it's, like,
fictionalized,
well-written.
but yeah, it's well written as a story from the first person perspective of this guy.
Okay.
And yeah, it's a really easy read, a really fun and a really informative and interesting read. If you have any interest in how the economy is currently being effed over by.
So
Big banks.
You said read or listen to. Did you read it or did you listen to it?
I read it with
Audiobooks.
my ears. I
Ian
do,
only does audiobooks.
So the person who's doing the reading does a good read then?
yeah, actually, it was a very a good narration.
That's good.
Yeah, it's always terrible when they don't.
It's really rough when you find a book that you're like, oh, I love this book. I'm going to listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't listen to this book.
The reason I do audiobooks is
Console
because
Wars.
oh god, really good book, not from 2014. Terrible narrator. But I do audiobooks almost exclusively because it's one of the few. I do a lot of chores, and I'll put in an audiobook because I don't have enough time to sit down and just read a book. It's nice to be able to read when I'm getting other things out of the way. Okay, and the last category I came up with here, if you're interested in putting something in, is podcasts.
I
there
have
any-
a couple that I'd recommend.
Okay,
One is TLDR.
which was on my list.
Yes, I figured it would be. But you
TLD
also have a larger list, I'm sure.
Well, TLDR was the offshoot from NPR's On the Media that
Yeah.
a couple of their junior producers put together as sort of a sideshow. And then the people who did On the Media said, okay, well, this is good. Let's stick it in our feed to get people to listen to it. And
It's one of my favorites because they do one topic, and usually in about 8 minutes.
Yeah. And it's usually also about, like, On the Media is about, bigger picture media things like newspaper industry, the entire news industry itself, how the media is actually changing gender roles in Russia, and that's sort of big picture aspect.
Yeah.
TLDR talks more about the smaller picture and more digital topics, I think.
Yeah,
It's
they've done some very interesting topics. Recently, the two hosts that you mentioned have left
Yep.
it, and they've replaced it with, I think, a lady who I can't remember her name offhand because she just started, and I only listened to the one episode. But
Same
she
here.
Seems to be
She seems
doing
good.
well, so I hope they keep someone of that caliber.
I'm going
around.
to keep listening to it.
The other one that I know it didn't start this year, but I do listen to it quite a bit, which is also a short 5-10 minute podcast, is called Skeptoid. And it is he takes topics of skepticism. Yes, things like, the moon landing, why is that fake? Or health things, or homeopathic remedies, and just the idea that you should be skeptical of it. And I like them because they're short, but they're informative. And he constantly is of the opinion that you should be skeptical of everything, including him.
Not cynical, but skeptical.
Skeptical.
Yeah.
And sometimes he'll do an episode where he'll read his fan mail, which will just be things like, "Oh, you must work for Big Pharma," and he's like, "I don't accept any money for this podcast or work for anybody.
Oh,
And I would just like you to do some research." So I find it really enjoyable.
sounds like a good one. Corey, you got any podcasts?
I have podcasts. They're not from this year, like starting this year, but I think they both go. One's All Songs Considered, which is NPR. It's a panel. They have a theme. They'll pick songs that sort of fit within the theme, like terrible 90s music, and then they'll like play a clip of the song and then discuss it. The other one is Desert Island Discs, which is a BBC podcast. And it's just an interview. It's the host, can't remember her name, and then they'll have a guest on, and they have to pick what songs they would take on a desert island.
Oh, interesting.
That's interesting.
Yeah, what music would they not survive without?
Oh, wow.
So you get someone like David Mitchell being like, I want Walking on Sunshine, because that was my intro with stand-up show I had with Robert Webb. Yeah.
Nice. Little insights.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No.
Okay. Well, if you're all not listening to Roderick on the Line, it's not a pick. That's just a plug. My picks for this year were TLDR. I wanted to bring up Every Frame a Painting because it's.
Man, that counts, doesn't it?
I guess it does count as
Yeah.
a podcast.
Okay.
If you want to get an insight into filmmaking, you could be worse off choosing Every Frame a Painting as your jumping on point.
Yeah, that's Tony Zhu, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Filmmaking, storytelling techniques, basically, like, this is an amazing series.
Yeah. He'll probably touch on one of your favorite films at some point, and you will be made more aware.
And what I love about that vidcast, podcast, whatever, when he has done, he'll, like when he picked up Silence of the Lambs, and what he used to illustrate for the concept he wanted to talk about, winning a scene, was the thing that
Yes.
kind of stuck with me, because it was like, this is a very it's not like he's taking different movies and saying, I'm going to show you the same thing, the same technique in like 10 different movies for that. It's like, I'm going to take one movie and I'm going to show you one technique for this one movie. And he may never come back and revisit Silence of the Lambs ever again.
Or one director, or one...
Right,
Yeah.
like that was the thing. Like when he did Spielberg's thing about the oneer, it's like how Spielberg likes to use the oneer, and here's how he used it in all of his different films. Or here's Kubrick's thing. But then it's like, now we're going to do a thing on Robin Williams.
Did you do Michael Bay as well?
I think
Yeah.
he did Bay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bay.
I
Yeah.
have
Bayception.
respect for Michael Bay that I didn't have before because of that.
Right.
Right.
Just
Now
how
you
he
understand.
manages to wedge that into everything he does.
Yeah.
That panning, tracking, spinning.
It's like, I want to have this
Like-
shot. I always want to have this shot. This is where I'm going to do
I
it.
may not like his style, but I now know that he has a style, and it is very deliberate
Yeah.
what he's doing.
And that's what really impressed me about this, is that it's not a thing where it's like, okay, so we're going to talk about great directors, and I'm going to talk about Kubrick, and I'm going to show you I'm going to show you like these 3 techniques that Kubrick has used, and now I'm going to do the next one. It's going to be like, here's Spielberg, and I'm going to show you the same 3 techniques I want to talk about. It's like, no, every time I do one of these things, it's always done in a different way, and it's always referencing a different technique, and it's always about something completely different.
He recently just did Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
And
So
wow,
good.
if nothing else, you learn from that why all of the American Jackie Chan movies are terrible.
Yeah.
Well, what got me from that too was the fact that it's like, the thing that I have hated about American action in the last little while is that it is so jumpy, and
Shaky cam.
and I completely forgot about that, because I remember when like Transformers was like the big thing where it's like, oh, we're gonna have like the ground camera, it's gonna be, and everyone's gonna say it's gonna be really shaky, but it's gonna be like true to force, or the true to life kind of thing, and I'm like, no, it's just friggin' irritating to look at, and I didn't. Like, I knew that was a thing then, but because everybody's been doing that since then, it's kind of like it fell off my radar as a thing to be angry about. It just was something that irritated me whenever I watched
You
it.
got so used to it, you forgot to be angry.
Well, it's not that I got so used to it, I couldn't figure out why I was being so irritated by it. And then when he brings the whole thing, it's like, yeah, watch, Jackie's going to do an entire scene, the camera never moves, and you're going to actually feel like this thing is really happening. And I'm like, that's why it feels so much more visceral, because you can't look away.
Then you get the thing where in the Hong Kong films, apparently, according to this research, they'll show a hit twice.
Yeah.
Like you'll show a guy get punched in the face, and then you'll see that same hit from a pulled back angle.
Yeah.
And that's okay in that form of storytelling. But here, what happens is they'll actually cut the film, or put the cut right in the middle of the hit.
Yeah.
So you don't actually see the hit landing at all.
Yeah.
And that's part of why.
And technically it's correct.
Yeah.
That's
As
why-
a way of flow works, but it's so weird, the difference.
Like in the clip he used from Guardians of the Galaxy, where Gamora like does that weird flip kick thing behind her head or whatever,
Yeah.
and
it snaps right at that moment that the kick lands.
yeah, and when I saw that in the theater, I was like, man, this is a boring fight.
Yeah.
Like, this is just not that interesting.
Unsatisfying it
Yeah,
becomes.
and it doesn't seem like anything's really happening here, and that's why.
Yeah, but Every Frame a Painting.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Yeah.
It's easy to catch up on because it doesn't come out that often. And finally, you should all check out Sailor Business. It is my favorite new podcast of the year. With Chris Sims of the Invincible Superblog and Jordan White. Take every episode of the classic 1992 Sailor Moon series and watch it episode by episode and comment on it with a guest. And so they've had people in the anime community and the comic book community. I think you should really actually talk to them. to actually get on as a guest,
I think
having
that would be kind of interesting.
given
yeah.
your history with anime.
I used to run the complete Sailor Moon CD list, which was one of the 3 most visited Sailor Moon sites in the world. Back
In
when
the 90s.
Yeah, back when Sailor Moon was showing in the 90s. It was like one of the top tier things. You would go to Hitoshi Doi's website, you would go to VKLL's place to get subs, and you would go to my site to discover the music.
Where was a lot of music.
Yeah. It was
But-
crazy to get over 1 million hits, and I was like, I run a thing now. I don't know how to monetize anything. My
Well,
site's a garbage. But
No one did back then.
Yeah.
But they break down the series episode by episode, and it was going somewhere with that. Yeah, they do it from the perspective of the dub, the original Deke dub from Canada and the U.S., the original Japanese subs,
Oh, so
Right.
they go over both.
the new
And
dub.
Crystal.
Well,
No, they don't talk.
They do talk about Crystal.
Not often.
Yeah, they do bring it up.
They mention it, but it's not a thing. This is all about the old series. And the novelization.
there's a novelization.
There is a novelization for, I think it was 6 episodes.
Ah.
It covers like 2 books
Interesting.
by a woman named Leanne Centaur, and she takes some amazing turns with the story. And amazing. Did you know that Darien was a Calvin Klein model specifically?
Well, I knew he was a model in the English dub in the 90s.
Yeah.
Wow.
Not
It's-
sure about the Japanese.
She apparently wrote these novels when she was 16.
Oh,
okay.
she was part of the fanfic
Yeah,
community.
well, she was part of Tokyo Pop. So yes.
Okay.
She was part of the fanfic community, but she had connections.
So if you jump on now, the next episodes that'll be coming out in January are going to be with her commenting on it as well. So
How
Rad.
often are they a weekly or are they
Once a
monthly?
week, yeah.
Okay.
Neat.
it'll be a while before they eventually get through the entire series.
Oh, it's long.
And that's all the podcasts I have.
And that's the last of the categories?
That's the last of the categories I have as well.
For anyone who's wondering why I didn't give anything, I stopped listening to podcasts a while ago because I could never keep up. So my apologies. But I do watch every frame of painting. So anyway.
Plug the LRRcast.
Right. There's the
There's the
LRRcast.
I listen to it. I
Yeah.
know Beej doesn't.
I don't.
But that's okay.
I figure if I want to know anything about what somebody's thinking, I can just go, "Hey, Graham," and then turn my head slightly.
What?
But
You do that with everyone.
Yeah, I
I
do.
listen to them because then things will come up that I've never thought to ask anybody, and then I'll know things that they won't know that I know.
Yeah, there's that too.
So that's been the best of our, the best 2014 here.
As far as we're concerned, anyway.
Yeah.
Well, this is the best 2014 I've experienced.
Kind of canonical, and you should commit all this to memory.
Beej, where can people find you?
You can find me right here at Loading Ready Run, doing my stream and also doing the other stuff. Go check out loadingreadyrun.com or LRR.cc if you're into the whole brevity thing, as the dude says. And you can check out all the stuff that Loading Ready Run does, obviously, and Loading Ready Live in particular.
All the great shows.
Yeah, and also I am on Twitter at TuxBeej. And also a member of Snap to Chaos Theater. We will be doing our first show in February, first show of the year in February at SkinoCon here in Victoria at the University of Victoria.
Heather, how about you?
You can find me on Twitter at Lunar Jade. I'm also on the streams of Beej's Backlog quite often. Or you can go to girlswithscissors.com.
I've decided they can't find me.
That's
No matter
even-
how hard they search.
That's awesome.
That's super cool.
They can look through our find lists.
Yeah.
They'll find you.
They can find your work all over Baldur's Gate and
Oh, no.
as well.
Oh,
so.
crap.
All over it.
All over
Mention
it.
that.
All
yeah.
over it.
Dripping.
Drag that
All
out.
over it. We can
My
do
name's
it.
Ian Horner. You can find me at on Twitter at iHorner. I'm also here at loadingreadyrun.com or LRR.cc. Make sure to check out our Patreon at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun, and we will see you next time.